Every shadow holds a secret the eyes cannot see. What we call darkness is not the end of light. It is its hidden beginning. Beneath the silence of the night, something luminous waits, speaking in stillness. Ibn Arabi reminds us that the unseen does not mean the absent. It means the beloved is revealing himself in another form. In this journey, we don't escape the dark. We discover the light that lives within it. Night is not the enemy of light. It is its womb from the stillness of darkness. Light is born anew. Ibn Arabi reminds us that the night is the mirror in which light learns to know itself. Without shadow, brilliance would have no meaning. The secret of the night is not its darkness, but the hidden dawn sleeping within it. In the silence of the night, the heart begins to hear. The noise of the world fades, and what remains is presence, subtle, vast, and breathing through every particle. The night teaches patience, for only those who wait in darkness recognize the first tremor of dawn. The seeker learns that every silence carries a message. The stars are not scattered accidents. They are whispers of a greater design. Each one reminds the soul that even in the deepest dark, guidance remains. They do not erase the night, but adorn it. Their light does not overpower. It reveals softly as mercy reveals truth to the heart. This is how the night learns to shine. When the sun withdraws, many believe light has vanished, yet it has only changed its language. It now speaks through reflection, through memory, through faith. To see in the night requires another kind of vision, the sight of the heart, which does not depend on brightness, but on trust. The night holds the soul gently, as the beloved hides his face to be sought. It is not punishment, but invitation to seek light, not in what is seen, but in what is felt. In the dark, the seeker's senses turn inward, and what seemed absence becomes encounter. The unseen becomes more real than sight itself. The moon is the witness of this mystery. She owns no light of her own, yet she shines by reflecting the sun's hidden face. So too does the heart reflect the radiance of the real. When it turns fully toward the source, even the faintest soul becomes luminous. The moon teaches humility, to shine by remembering. Every soul must pass through its own night. The path cannot always be lit by certainty. Sometimes it is guided only by faith's quiet glow. In those hours when vision falters, the heart becomes the lantern. It learns to see not by evidence, but by love. And through this unseen light, the night begins to shimmer. Darkness has its own wisdom. It softens pride, deepens reflection, and reveals what brightness conceals. The day shows the form of things. The night shows their essence. In its depth, one feels the vastness of the real, a presence so complete that words fall silent. The night humbles and exalts at once. The beloved veils his light in shadow, so that the seeker may learn gentleness. If truth came all at once, the heart would shatter, so he dims the lamp, allowing the eyes to adjust. Slowly, the darkness brightens from within, until the seeker realizes that what he feared was only light in another form. The night is the teacher of surrender. It reminds us that control is illusion and sight is limited. The stars appear only when the world accepts darkness. In the same way, divine insight appears when the heart stops resisting and yields to stillness. What feels like loss is often the beginning of vision. When the night deepens, silence becomes alive. The world sleeps, but the unseen awakens. In this sacred quiet, the heart feels the pulse of existence, steady, gentle, infinite. To rest in this silence is to rest in the arms of the beloved. This is the secret sanctuary where all fear dissolves. Light is not absent in darkness. It is transformed. It hides in the curve of the moon, in the gleam of dew, in the quiet breath of the unseen. The night's beauty lies in this hiddenness. It asks the seeker to look without eyes, to feel without touch, to trust without proof. This is the training of the soul. The one who learns from the night no longer fears its arrival. He greets it as a friend, a messenger bearing lessons no day can offer. In the rhythm of dusk and dawn, he discovers the endless cycle of concealment and revelation, the dance of the divine between shadow and light. Every darkness holds a doorway. The moment we stop fleeing from it, it opens. The heart that once trembled before the night now finds comfort in it, for it has learned the secret that what appears as absence is the beloved drawing near in another form. The night itself begins to glow, and when the dawn finally rises, the soul sees differently. The light outside no longer defines the world. It confirms what the heart already knew. The night did not end. It transformed. The seeker realizes the truth. The light behind every shadow was never gone. It was only waiting for the heart to awaken and see. Darkness is not the end of the path. It is the beginning of understanding. Within its quiet vastness, a hidden door waits unseen by those who flee from it, yet open to those who enter with faith. Ibn Arabi teaches that every shadow conceals a threshold, and those who dare to linger discover that the beloved hides where the light does not reach. The door inside the dark cannot be forced open by intellect or effort. It yields only to surrender. When the heart stops struggling to escape what it cannot see, a faint radiance stirs within. That moment of stillness, when the soul no longer resists, becomes the key that turns the invisible lock. Many walk through life fearing darkness, calling it emptiness, grief, or confusion. But what they flee from is often the very gate to awakening. The unseen is not void. It is fullness disguised. What appears as obscurity is the tenderness of the divine, inviting the soul to enter into deeper seeing. In the stillness of the dark, distractions fall away. The eyes that search for light outside begin to turn inward. There, behind the noise of thought, the hidden door glimmers softly. It does not shine like the sun, but like a secret flame, steady, humble, and eternal. Only those who grow silent notice its glow. The dark tests the seeker's trust. It asks, will you walk when there is no light to guide you? In that surrender, something ancient awakens, the heart's own memory of its origin. Each step, taken in faith, polishes the mirror within until the seeker no longer needs to see. He begins to feel the light he once feared to lose. This hidden door does not open outward, but inward. The path is not through space, but through depth. Each layer of fear, pride, and attachment is a wall that conceals the entrance. As the heart releases them one by one, the door becomes visible, not as a boundary, but as an invitation to return to what always was. Darkness is the beloved's way of slowing the soul. When the world dims, the senses quiet, and the truth speaks in whispers. The hidden door is not in some far realm. It stands at the center of every silence, waiting for recognition. When we cease to demand light, the door opens of its own accord. The prophets entered this darkness before us. Each one faced moments where revelation was veiled, where certainty gave way to stillness. Yet it was in that very stillness that the greatest openings occurred. Their stories remind us that divine guidance often hides behind uncertainty, and that the door of wisdom is built from patience. To the unawakened, the dark feels empty. To the awakened, it feels alive. Within its silence, something breathes, a presence that watches, listens, and embraces. The hidden door is not made of wood or stone. It is woven from awareness. Once the heart recognizes it, every moment becomes a passage toward the real. The seeker learns that the door is not discovered through sight, but through touch. The inner touch of the soul brushing against truth. It feels like warmth rising in the chest, or a stillness that softens all noise. This is the gentle hand of the unseen, guiding without words, opening without force. The dark does not end when the door opens. It transforms. The seeker no longer sees it as absence, but as the womb of revelation. From within it new light is born, light that no sun can offer, because it comes not from above, but from within. This is the light that teaches the soul how to see. The hidden door is also a mirror. As the seeker draws near, what appears to be an opening reflects his own being. The more transparent the heart becomes, the wider the passage grows. In truth, the door and the one who seeks it are not separate. The opening is the recognition of unity. When the door opens fully, the seeker does not step into another world. He awakens to the depth of this one. The ordinary dissolves into the extraordinary. Every shadow glows. Every silence sings. The dark no longer conceals. It reveals the radiance that has been there all along, waiting to be seen through love. The hidden door teaches that every trial carries a key. What we call despair, confusion, or loss are not dead ends but invitations to look again. The beloved hides his entrance within the very things we avoid. To open the door, one must trust that the path itself was never mistaken, only misunderstood. And when the seeker passes through, the darkness does not vanish. It bows. It becomes the threshold of remembrance, the sacred veil that once seemed to divide. On the other side, the soul understands that there was never a door nor a distance, only the beloved drawing us inward through the beauty of the dark. Absence is a teacher. The restless heart often misunderstands. We call it loss. We call it emptiness. Yet it is one of the most generous forms of presence. Ibn Arabi reminds us that what withdraws does not disappear. It transforms, inviting the soul to see without eyes and to feel without touch. Absence is not silence. It is the beginning of another kind of hearing. When the beloved hides, it is not rejection, but refinement. The heart, stripped of comfort, learns to seek what does not fade. In this seeking, a new vision is born, a vision that glows in the dark, nourished by longing. Absence burns away illusion, leaving only what is real enough to endure the fire of remembrance. There comes a moment when loss ceases to wound and begins to illuminate. The one who once begged for signs starts to see them everywhere. The empty space where the beloved once seemed distant becomes a mirror of infinite depth. In this mirror, the soul glimpses a light that belongs to no place and no time. Absence is not a void, but a veil woven of light, unseen. To those who run from it, it feels like exile. To those who rest in it, it feels like return. The glow of absence is soft, tender, and patient. It does not blind like the sun. It teaches the heart to perceive what cannot be seen with the outer eye. When presence is constant, gratitude often sleeps. But when absence arrives, every moment of remembrance becomes precious. The seeker learns that love is not sustained by proximity, but by awareness. In absence, the soul begins to taste a purer form of devotion, the love that endures even when the face is hidden. Absence humbles the self. It reminds the heart that it is not the owner of presence, but its guest. The light that glows through absence is mercy disguised as distance. It cleanses attachment, melts pride, and teaches trust. When the self disappears, only love remains, and in that love, the glow of the unseen becomes visible. To the mind, absence feels empty. To the spirit, it feels full beyond measure. It is the quiet in which revelation blooms, the pause between words where meaning gathers strength. In absence, the heart discovers that truth does not need form to exist. It simply is, radiant and whole, even when veiled. When absence deepens, remembrance becomes a light unto itself. The seeker begins to see how every breath, every ache, every silence carries the echo of the beloved. The glow that once seemed lost now shines from within. The heart learns that it was never abandoned, only trained to see differently. The mystic does not run from absence. He welcomes it like nightfall. He knows that stars are only visible in the dark, so too does the hidden light of the soul appear when outer comforts fade. Absence is the sky in which the soul's constellations awaken, mapping the way home through surrender. Each absence prepares the heart for a deeper unveiling. What was once unbearable becomes beautiful. The soul begins to understand that every concealment is mercy, a space for transformation. Absence glows because within it burns the unseen fire of love, refining the seeker into clarity. Absence teaches the art of waiting without despair. The seeker no longer demands, "When will the light return?" Instead, he whispers, "Let me see the beauty in the shadow." This surrender opens a window in the heart through which a softer light enters, a glow that does not fade with time. The glow of absence is not found through effort, but through stillness. It emerges when resistance dissolves, when the heart no longer clings to what was or fears what will be. The light of the eternal begins to rise from within. It is not the return of what was lost, but the revelation of what never left. The absence of the beloved teaches the heart to reflect. In the silence that follows departure, the soul begins to echo the qualities of the one it longs for. Compassion deepens, patience blooms, and love matures. In this reflection, the seeker realizes that absence itself has been shaping him into a vessel of light. The glow of absence is not for the eye, but for the heart. It cannot be pointed to or described. It must be felt. It is the warmth that arises when all seeking ends, when longing becomes love without condition. What once felt like distance becomes intimacy beyond form, a nearness that transcends nearness itself. And when the heart fully awakens, absence loses its name. The seeker no longer says, "He is gone," or "He is returned." Presence and absence dissolve into one current of awareness. The glow that began in darkness now fills everything. The soul stands silent, radiant, and free, knowing that the beloved was never absent, only waiting to be seen. The shadow is not the opposite of light. It is its faithful servant. It follows light wherever it goes, holding its form in quiet devotion. Ibn Arabi says, "The shadow is the first veil of mercy, protecting what cannot yet endure the full radiance of truth. Without shadow, the hidden would be consumed, and the seeker would mistake blindness for vision." Light creates shadow, not to conceal, but to teach contrast. Through shadow, the heart learns depth. Through darkness, it discovers subtlety. The soul begins to see that what seems like concealment is the gentle discipline of the beloved. Every veil that falls between us and the real is there to guard the sanctity of what it hides. The shadow protects the mystery. Just as the womb shelters life before birth, so the unseen shelters the truth before understanding. To rush toward full light without preparation is to burn. The shadow cools the seeker, giving time for the heart to expand until it can bear the weight of illumination. Every revelation carries its own shadow. In the moment of insight, humility is born beside it. If the seeker clings only to brilliance, pride takes root. The shadow reminds him that knowledge without surrender is incomplete. The darkness humbles the light, keeping it from becoming an idol of the self. The shadow also guards the sacred rhythm of creation. Day follows night. Fullness follows emptiness. Each needs the other to complete the circle. In this dance, the shadow is not the enemy. It is the partner that gives the light its meaning. Without it, there would be no beauty in dawn, no wonder in awakening. The mystic learns to walk between light and shadow without fear. He knows both are languages of the same source, both necessary for balance. In bright moments, he bows in gratitude. In shadowed hours, he listens more closely, for the whisper of the beloved is often clearest when the world grows dim. To see only light is to miss half the truth. The heart must learn to read the secret script written in shadow. Within its folds lies wisdom, tenderness, and protection. What seems hidden is not lost. It is preserved, waiting for the right time to be unveiled. The shadow guards not by denial, but by mercy. Every soul has its own shadow, the part it hides, fears, or rejects. Yet even this darkness serves a divine purpose. The shadow self holds the key to wholeness. When the seeker stops fighting it and begins to listen, he finds that his deepest wounds are doorways to understanding. What we call shadow often carries the brightest lesson. In the language of creation, shadow is a pause, not an end. It allows the heart to breathe between revelations. The shadow's silence protects the sacred pulse of becoming. It reminds the soul that truth unfolds, not explodes. To honor this rhythm is to walk in harmony with the divine's hidden order. The beloved places shadow before light, so that longing may be born for what is desire but love, reaching toward what it cannot yet see. Shadow awakens yearning, and yearning awakens the soul. Thus even concealment becomes an act of generosity, calling the heart deeper into remembrance. When the seeker finally embraces his own shadow, it transforms. What was once feared becomes familiar. What was hidden becomes guidance. The heart learns that the divine does not only dwell in the clear skies of joy, but also in the heavy clouds of uncertainty. Light shines even there, diffused and tender. The shadow's gift is subtlety. It teaches that not all truths must be spoken. Not all mysteries must be solved. Some things are meant to be felt rather than known, and the shadow keeps that sanctity intact. It invites reverence, not conquest. The one who respects the shadow walks gently upon the path of knowing. In the deepest shadows of the soul, the real hides his most precious secrets. He does not entrust them to the loud or the curious, but to the patient and the silent. The one who can sit quietly in the dark without panic is the one to whom the hidden door is revealed. The shadow is both test and teacher. The shadow does not imprison, it preserves. It guards the secret until the seeker becomes worthy of it. The beloved entrusts his mysteries to those who understand that revelation is not possession, but participation. The shadow ensures that this sacred balance remains unbroken. And when the time is right, the shadow steps aside. Light pours through, not as a blaze but as a sunrise, soft, radiant, merciful. The seeker realizes then that the shadow was never an obstacle but a guardian. It was love all along, standing watch over the secret, waiting for the heart to see. Light does not fear the dark, it speaks through it. Just as ink needs the page's whiteness to reveal its meaning, so too does light require shadow to express its depth. Ibn Arabi reminds us that light alone blinds, but light wrapped in darkness becomes knowledge. The real hides his words in the folds of night, that only the heart can read them. Darkness is not absence, but alphabet. Every shade is a syllable, every silence a verse. The mystic learns to read the language that the eyes cannot. In the hush of the unseen, meanings descend like rain upon thirsty soil. There the heart becomes both reader and scripture, luminous without flame. Creation itself is this script of opposites. The stars write their message upon the canvas of night. The ocean gleams only under shadowed sky. Without contrast, beauty could not speak. Ibn Arabi says the beloved veils himself in opposites. so the seeker may taste both awe and intimacy in the same breath. To understand the light written in darkness, the heart must abandon fear. It must learn to trust the silence between revelations, for in those pauses, truth takes shape. When light and dark meet without resistance, wisdom blooms, subtle, wordless, eternal. Every soul is a manuscript, half written in light, half in shadow. The ink of experience stains its pages, and divine breath turns them. What appears as pain, loss, or doubt is not error but punctuation, marking the rhythm of becoming. The language of the beloved is not perfection, but transformation. The mystic does not separate day from night. He sees their marriage. Light teaches clarity. Darkness teaches depth. The union of both births understanding. He who walks only in brightness sees surfaces. He who embraces the dark begins to see essence. When God speaks through darkness, he whispers rather than shouts. His language is not thunder, but stillness. The heart that strains to hear misses it. The one that yields begins to understand. Such is the subtlety of divine speech. Its gentleness is its power. The language of darkness cannot be taught, only received. It is learned through surrender, through trust in the unseen. The one who walks through shadow without despair becomes fluent in its dialect. He discovers that the night is not silence. It is a conversation written in the pulse of existence. Every shadow carries light within its outline. The deeper the dark, the sharper the boundary of illumination. The soul learns that contrast is mercy. It allows perception. Without shadow, light would vanish into infinity, unseen and unappreciated. The beloved hides so that we may learn to seek. There is a sweetness in the dark unknown to daylight. It is the sweetness of mystery, of knowing that one is being guided even when the path is invisible. Ibn Arabi teaches that the unseen is not far. It is folded into the scene like perfume within a rose, sensed but unseen. Light, written in darkness, is not meant to be understood at once. Each symbol unfolds in its own time. The heart may carry the question for years before it blooms into realization. In this waiting lies devotion. In this patience lies grace. The soul that learns to read darkness begins to see everywhere. The night sky becomes scripture. The silence between breaths, revelation. Even shadows on a wall become letters of the eternal text. For one who is awake, there is no absence of light, only variations of its language. The light in darkness teaches humility. It reminds the seeker that not everything can be known, that mystery is part of love. The mind's need for clarity must yield to the heart's need for wonder. The real reveals himself not to be understood, but to be adored. Darkness is the ink of divine artistry. Through it, the beloved paints depth into the soul. What we call confusion is often composition. What we call loss is rearrangement. The unseen hand moves quietly, shaping the contours of the spirit's awakening. When the seeker stops fearing the dark, it turns translucent. The walls that seem to confine become windows of understanding. Every unanswered question becomes a light waiting to be born. The night does not hide the truth. It prepares the eyes to see it. In the deepest dark, the smallest spark becomes revelation. One insight, one breath, one glimpse of mercy can illuminate an entire lifetime. This is the generosity of the real. He writes vast meanings into the smallest of signs, that even a whisper may guide the lost. Light and darkness are not rivals, but partners. They weave existence together, alternating in endless rhythm. The day hands its secret to the night, and the night returns it at dawn. The one who watches closely sees that both are chapters of the same book. The beloved hides his most radiant truths in the language of paradox. To find them, The seeker must learn to read with both faith and unknowing. The moment he thinks he understands, the letters rearrange, revealing deeper meanings. The scripture of reality is alive. It changes as the reader does. When sorrow visits, it writes in dark ink, yet behind those lines, light glimmers softly. The heart that endures begins to read the message written beneath the pain, that every loss is a passage toward remembrance, every ending a beginning written in invisible fire. The mystic's task is not to erase the dark, but to translate it. He turns shadow into wisdom, despair into song. His heart becomes a translator of silence, rendering the speech of the unseen into the rhythm of devotion. This is how light continues its conversation through him. Sometimes the language of darkness speaks through forgetting. Memory fades so that deeper truths can take root. The seeker may lose his way only to find a clearer path later. Forgetting becomes a form of remembrance, an emptying that makes space for revelation. The real writes with both hands, one of light, one of shadow. Each word, each moment, bears traces of both. To love the beloved fully is to love this duality, to see beauty not only in dawn but also in dusk. Only the whole contains the truth. When the heart finally reads fluently, it no longer distinguishes between dark and light. Every experience becomes verse, every silence becomes praise. The world reveals itself as scripture, infinite and unfolding. The reader disappears, only the reading remains. The language of darkness leads the seeker to awe. It teaches that truth cannot be confined to brilliance alone. It lives also in quiet, in confusion, in longing. Ibn Arabi says that when the soul learns this, it becomes light itself, written and writer at once, glowing softly within the ink of existence. And so, the night is never empty. Every shadow holds a word, every silence a verse, every breath a revelation. To the heart that listens, the darkness is not dark at all. It is the page on which the beloved writes his most tender name. There comes a moment when the heart grows silent, weary of chasing echoes. It pauses, not in despair, but in surrender. And in that stillness, something shifts. The outer world fades, and the unseen begins to whisper. Ibn Arabi tells us this is the turning point, when the heart ceases to seek the visible and begins to perceive what has always been near. The unseen does not announce itself with thunder. It appears as a softness, a subtle stirring within. It cannot be forced or summoned. It arrives when the heart becomes empty enough to receive. The real is not found through movement, but through stillness, the quiet turning inward where presence unfolds like dawn. This turning is not an action, but a recognition. The seeker realizes that what he sought beyond horizons has always been breathing within him. The unseen is not another world. It is the depth of this one, hidden beneath the surface of perception. To turn toward it is to awaken from illusion. At that moment, the senses no longer dictate reality. The heart becomes the new compass, the inner eye that sees without light. What once seemed solid begins to glow from within. What once felt distant becomes intimate. The unseen reveals itself not by coming closer, but by removing the veil of forgetfulness. The first sign of turning is tenderness. The heart softens, no longer hardened by certainty or pride. It begins to sense the beloved in every sound, every silence, every breath. The unseen speaks not in words but in presence, and once heard, it cannot be unheard. The unseen does not dwell elsewhere. It pervades everything. When the heart turns, it discovers that absence was only a misunderstanding. What seemed ordinary begins to shine with hidden significance. A leaf falling, a drop of rain, a fleeting shadow, all become reminders of the one who never left. In that sacred turning, The heart begins to remember its origin, before time, before form, before forgetting. It knew this presence intimately. The unseen is not a new discovery, it is remembrance returning home. The journey was not toward a distant reality, but toward a forgotten truth within. When the heart turns, time loses its grip. The past dissolves, the future quiets, and only now remains. This moment stretches infinitely, filled with awareness so complete that even thought falls silent. The unseen is timeless. To meet it, one must step beyond the measure of clocks. The unseen reveals itself gradually, for mercy protects the heart from being overwhelmed. Its light enters like dawn, softening edges, awakening depth. The heart learns to dwell in this subtle illumination, not in seeking miracles, but in perceiving meaning in the simplest of things. The turning is not away from the world, but deeper into it. The mystic does not escape creation. He sees the Creator within it. Every form becomes a face of the unseen. Every movement a gesture of divine will. The world does not vanish. It becomes transparent. At first, the unseen feels fragile, like mist at the edge of awareness. But as faith strengthens, it becomes the most real thing. The outer world, once believed to be solid, reveals its dreamlike nature. The seeker learns that faith is not believing without proof. It is seeing what proof cannot show. This turning of the heart is the true migration. It is not from one place to another, but from one vision to another. The eyes remain open, but they see differently. The real becomes visible everywhere, shimmering beneath the thin veil of form. When the heart turns fully, longing changes its nature. It is no longer a desire to reach something far, but a joy in what already is. The seeker no longer prays for nearness. He prays for awareness. The beloved was never absent. The heart simply learns to recognize his trace in all things. Sometimes the unseen calls through loss. When what we love is taken away, the heart is forced to look beyond what can be touched. Pain becomes a teacher, pulling the gaze toward what endures. In its deepest sorrow, the soul finds the door to the eternal. The unseen speaks in silence, but not all silence is the same. There is the silence of emptiness and the silence of fullness. The first feels lonely, the second feels alive. When the heart turns toward the unseen, silence becomes luminous, filled with presence rather than void. The unseen is not a secret to be discovered, but a reality to be remembered. It is the pulse beneath creation, the breath behind breath. When the heart listens deeply enough, even the simplest moment becomes revelation. Awareness itself becomes worship. Ibn Arabi teaches that to see the unseen, one must become unseen. The ego must dissolve, like a candle melting before the sun. The heart then becomes transparent, allowing the light of the real to pass through without distortion. The unseen does not reveal itself to those who wish to own it, but to those who vanish into it. The unseen calls through everything: the rustling of leaves, the fragrance of rain, the hush before dawn. The heart that is turned recognizes these as letters of a divine alphabet. Each moment becomes scripture, written not in ink, but in being. Reading it requires presence, not intellect. As the heart turns, the veil between the inner and outer worlds thins. Dreams begin to echo waking life. Intuition deepens. Coincidences feel like messages. The seeker begins to understand that nothing is random. Every event is a verse of the same unfolding revelation. When the unseen becomes near, fear loses its hold. The unknown no longer threatens, it comforts. For the one who lives in remembrance, uncertainty becomes sacred space. Every mystery becomes an invitation, every silence a promise of light. The turning of the heart is the true miracle. No thunder, no vision, no celestial voice. Only a shift so quiet it could be missed. Yet after it, nothing remains the same. The world continues, but now it gleams with the secret of its maker, visible to the eyes that have learned to see. The unseen is both infinite and intimate. It holds galaxies and grains of sand in the same breath. When the heart turns, it feels both vast and small, both humbled and exalted. To be aware of the unseen is to live in the paradox of majesty and mercy intertwined. In this turning, prayer changes its language. It becomes less about asking, more about listening. The heart prays not for what it wants, but for what is true. The unseen answers, not in words, but in moments of peace, so complete that even questions dissolve. The heart that is turned toward the unseen no longer seeks signs. They are everywhere. The glow of a candle, the fall of night, the echo of footsteps in an empty hall, all speak the same truth. The world becomes a sanctuary, and every breath becomes praise. The seeker realizes there was no turning at all. The unseen was never distant, never hidden. It was the heart that faced away. When it finally turned, it did not discover something new. It remembered what it had always known, that the beloved is nearer than breath, forever present, forever unseen. Every veil hides a secret, but not forever. The purpose of concealment is revelation in another form. Ibn Arabi teaches that the veil is not a wall but a mirror, one that reflects the real through symbols and appearances. What blinds the eyes also awakens the heart, for when light meets limitation, reflection is born. The veil is mercy disguised as mystery. It protects the soul from the shock of seeing the infinite too directly. Yet within its softness lies guidance. Every veil is placed exactly where it must be, so the seeker may learn how to see without being consumed by what he sees. When the heart grows patient, the veil begins to shimmer. What once seemed barrier becomes message. The seeker realizes that each obstacle carries the face of the beloved, hidden just enough to demand love without possession. In this way, the veil becomes the first lesson in humility. The veil is not the end of seeing, but the beginning of true sight. It trains perception to look deeper, to move beyond forms toward meaning. What blinds the surface awakens the depth. Behind every curtain of confusion stands a light waiting to be recognized by the heart's inner eye. The mystic learns that unveiling is not tearing away, but polishing. The more the heart purifies itself of self-centeredness, the clearer the veil becomes until it reflects the truth instead of hiding it. The veil turns mirror when love replaces demand, when surrender replaces will. Every event in life is such a veil: joy, pain, longing, even silence. Each one conceals the same essence, wearing different garments. When the heart ceases to judge appearances, it begins to perceive unity beneath diversity. The world once opaque becomes luminous with meaning. The veil mirrors the seeker's own state. If his heart is clouded, the veil appears dark. If his heart is pure, it shines. Thus, revelation depends not on the removal of the veil, but on the refinement of the seer. The mirror reflects only what stands before it. In moments of despair, the veil seems heavy. The soul cries for clarity, unaware that the beloved is teaching through concealment. To love what hides him is the highest faith, for it means trusting that every separation hides an invitation. The mirror gleams behind the curtain. When the heart turns inward, the veil grows transparent. It begins to reveal what it once concealed. The mystic sees that light and shadow are not opposites, but partners in disclosure. The unseen uses the seen to remind us of itself, just as the sun uses clouds to paint the sky with color. The veil becomes mirror when the seeker no longer struggles against it. Acceptance polishes its surface. The ego's impatience turns to stillness, and reflection appears. What was once confusion becomes clarity, not because the veil has changed, but because the heart has. In this transformation, the world itself becomes scripture. Every face, every sound, every fleeting moment speaks the same truth in different languages. The veil reveals not by lifting, but by shining. It is the art of the beloved, hiding so that the seeker may find, veiling so that vision may deepen. The mystic realizes that every form is both cover and disclosure. The ocean hides in waves, the tree hides in leaves, the soul hides in the body. The veil is never false. It is the language of the real translated into matter. To see through, it is to read creation correctly. When the veil becomes a mirror, perception reverses. The seeker no longer looks outward to find meaning, but inward to discover the source of reflection. The beloved's light shines from within, and the veil reflects it back in forms the senses can grasp. Vision becomes remembrance. The mirror of the veil is not flat. It curves inward. It draws the gaze toward its center, guiding the heart home. What appears as distance folds into intimacy. The further one looks, the closer one becomes, until the seer and the seen dissolve into the same awareness. There are veils made of light, as well as of shadow. Some dazzle so brightly, they obscure as effectively as darkness. Knowledge itself can veil if it feeds the ego, instead of the heart. Only humility keeps the mirror clean, for pride fogs the surface and turns reflection into distortion. The veil teaches that seeing is an act of mercy. The real reveals only what the heart can bear. Every glimpse is measured, every silence deliberate. The seeker learns gratitude, not just for light, but for limitation, for both are gifts of protection. The mirror of the veil also shows the face of the self. What the seeker projects onto the world is what he perceives within it. When anger, fear, or attachment cloud the heart, the veil reflects them back, urging purification. Thus the world itself becomes a spiritual teacher. When love matures, even the veil becomes beloved. The mystic no longer demands unveiling, for he sees beauty in concealment itself. He realizes that what is hidden is not lost, and what is seen is not owned. The mirror shines precisely because it does not belong to him. In the mirror of the veil, opposites reconcile. Absence becomes a form of presence. Silence becomes a kind of speech. The heart learns to listen beyond contrast, to see the unity that sings through multiplicity. The real reveals himself as both hidden and manifest in a single breath. Sometimes the veil reflects only faintly, and the seeker despairs. Yet even that faint shimmer is a sign. The beloved never withholds completely. Even concealment carries the scent of revelation. The mirror is always there, waiting for light, waiting for stillness. The veil becomes the most beautiful of teachers, because it humbles without wounding. It speaks softly, saying, "Do not rush toward what you cannot yet hold. Grow, and I will grow, transparent." The heart that listens to this counsel learns reverence, the first step toward wisdom. When the mirror clears completely, it does not vanish. It remains, shining between the seer and the seen, preserving the sweetness of distinction within unity. The mystic sees the beloved through the veil as one sees light through crystal, fully revealed, yet still mysterious. The veil that becomes a mirror is the soul itself. It reflects the divine image it was created to bear. When the heart is purified of illusion, it mirrors truth so perfectly that the difference between reflection and light disappears. The soul becomes both mirror and moon, radiant without owning radiance. At last, the seeker sees that there was never separation, only the appearance of it. The veil was a mercy, the mirror a revelation. What once concealed now confirms. There is only the one seen through countless reflections. The heart bows, silent and shining, knowing it has returned to the source it never left. There is a dawn that does not wait for the horizon. It does not come from the east, nor follow the rhythm of night and day. It rises within the heart, quietly, when all external lights have faded. Ibn Arabi speaks of this dawn, the awakening that occurs not through vision, but through unveiling. This dawn belongs to no season. It appears when the soul has surrendered its search for light outside itself. When the eyes grow tired of seeking, the inner sky begins to glow. There is no sun to see, yet everything brightens. It is the moment when the seeker realizes that illumination is not something that comes. It is something that remembers. The dawn without a sun rises in silence. No birds announce it, no horizon blushes. It comes when the self has become transparent enough to allow truth to pass through. The light is not seen but felt, a tenderness that dissolves fear, a warmth that carries no shadow. It is not the world that brightens in this dawn, but the heart. The outer sky may remain dark, yet within everything shines. The light of this dawn cannot be measured or explained. It is the glow of awareness awakening to itself. The soul becomes the lamp, the flame, and the horizon all at once. This dawn comes only after a long night of forgetting. The seeker who has wandered through despair, silence, and loss becomes the soil from which remembrance blooms. The beloved hides the ordinary sun, so the heart may learn to see a deeper radiance, one that does not set. When the dawn without a sun begins, the boundaries between light and dark disappear. The mystic no longer says, "This is day, that is night." Everything becomes luminous, for illumination has left the sky and entered the soul. Time itself bows before this inner rising. The dawn within is mercy. It arrives not because we deserve it, but because the real never ceases to call us home. Even in our forgetfulness, something eternal keeps watch. When the soul stops running, that quiet watcher steps forward, and the heart recognizes the light it carried all along. This dawn needs no witness. It does not depend on approval, belief, or faith. It shines in the unbeliever and the saint alike, for it is older than religion and younger than every breath. To awaken to it is to taste the root of being, the first light that never needed a source. The dawn that rises without a sun does not dispel the night, it redeems it. The seeker sees that even darkness was a form of light wearing another name. Every shadow becomes sacred, every silence becomes song. The night was never against the dawn, it was its cradle. In this dawn, the heart learns that revelation is not arrival but unveiling. The light does not travel, it discloses. It was here when we began, waiting beneath the noise of perception. To realize this is to awaken not into day, but into truth. The mystic who witnesses this dawn walks among men, yet dwells elsewhere. His gaze carries a serenity that no circumstance can disturb. He no longer seeks proof, for everything he sees is proof. The world itself becomes a verse of praise, recited without sound. This dawn cannot be described, for language lives in duality, and this light knows none. Words reach only its edge, then fall silent. Yet even silence speaks when touched by this radiance, not with syllables, but with stillness that overflows into peace. The dawn without a sun asks for no effort, only surrender. It is not achieved through striving, but through softening. The more the heart releases, the more it glows. When resistance ends, revelation begins. The real does not enter. He was never outside. This inner dawn reveals that guidance is not something given, but something uncovered. The beloved does not send light from afar. He awakens it from within. Each soul is a candle hidden beneath layers of forgetting. And every sigh, every longing, every prayer removes a little of that covering. The dawn that rises within has no opposite. Once seen, it cannot be unseen. Even in sorrow, its shimmer remains. It teaches that light and darkness are only movements of perception, and the real shines through both. To dwell in this understanding is to live beyond change. In this dawning, every face becomes the face of the beloved. Every sound carries his echo. Every breath his trace. Separation dissolves into wonder. The seeker no longer says, "He is there," or "I am here." He simply whispers, "All is He." When the dawn rises, even tears become luminous. Pain loses its bitterness, for it too was a path to this awakening. The heart blesses what once wounded it, recognizing that every loss was guidance, every ache a form of remembering. The night becomes gratitude. The dawn without a sun is endless. It does not fade into day, it deepens into being. It reveals a light that does not move, a presence that does not depart. Those who awaken to it no longer measure life in hours or days. They live in eternity disguised as now. This dawn does not belong to saints alone. It waits in every heart that has ever felt the ache of long. The journey through shadow is not a fall into darkness, but a return to the source of all light. When the heart learns to see, even the night begins to shine. Ibn Arabi teaches that the divine hides not to conceal, but to draw us nearer, to teach us that light is not found, it is revealed. So when you meet the next shadow in your life, do not turn away. Look deeply, and you will see the light has been there all along, waiting to be recognized.